You've seen him for years as Hollywood's bad guy on TV and in movies. Now, listen to him right here. Here's your host, the multi-talented Jasper Cole.
All right. Howdy, and welcome to On the Set with Jasper Cole. This is your host, Jasper Cole, coming to you live from West Hollywood, California on this Friday night. Or if you're listening to us on Actors Radio, you're probably listening on a Sunday night. So we are Friday, we are Sunday, and you could be listening to one of our archive podcasts, so it could be any night of the week. Welcome, everyone. This is going to be a show all about the Oscars and the Golden Globes, and also talking about horror films with Hansel and Gretel, which came out this Tuesday on DVD. So before all of that, please let me welcome my way too gay sidekick, Mr. Ralph Cole Jr. Yeah! Welcome, Mr. Cole.
Da-da-da-da-da-da! Thank you, Jasper, and hello, planet Eartha. Welcome.
Well, it's so great to see your I was going to say shining face.
Well, it is kind of shining because I'm glowing.
Well, there's no need to powder down. We're not on camera.
Well, exactly. Well, I have my orange glow, as you know, because I like to celebrate our Fridays with a little bit of orange up in here. And how do you like our new orange coffee mugs?
I like it, but before that, now, do you fake tan, or is that real?
No, this is just totally my skin color, my beautiful brown, coffee brown skin color.
But you're not doing, like, the spray-on tans or anything?
Oh, no, not at all.
To get darker. You feel like you're dark enough, just as you are.
I am totally dark enough. I totally absorb vitamin D daily, so I am just naturally this fine. What you're looking at is totally natural, Jasper.
You do psyllium husk as well, right?
I am totally a psyllium husk believer, which I got from our very good friend Ronnie Butler Jr. Hello.
So we've just outed everybody on psyllium husk, but why doesn't Metamucil or one of those companies be one of our sponsors?
Well, we should try to do that because you do the Metamucil.
I do not. I don't need it. I eat a fiber diet, and I'm not as old as the rest of you. But anyway.
No, age has nothing to do with it, Jasper.
Well, listen, speaking of sponsors, I want to thank our sponsors, Wayman Productions, Imagine That Productions, and Tyrone Artworks. And please, everyone, please follow us on Facebook at On The Set with Jasper Cole, Twitter, On The Set W Jasper, and we are now up to like 57,000 Twitter followers. So we have to say a big thank you to all our listeners for following us on Twitter. And also our radio website is onthesetwithjaspercole.com. Thanks to Jonathan Jackson, publicist extraordinaire. And I know, right? And then we have to give a big shout-out to Entertainment Dish with Dara, who is not joining us tonight because she has some family obligations. But, you know, she'll probably listen to this back later at a later date when she's reclining and, you know.
Oh, yeah, she'll probably listen to it on iTunes or Actors Radio or
Blog Talk
Wendy
Radio.
Williams show. I mean, it's just like it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Wherever you need to plug us in, just find us at www.blogtalkradio.com.
Well, a lot of the celebrities, a lot of the talk show people are listening to us and playing excerpts of our show on their shows. So
exactly. So we're great. Our ratings are through the roof, so we have to thank all the listeners. And now, speaking of celebrities, we are very happy to be joined by our team member, former star of Doogie Howser, Stephen Bochco's Murder One, in the upcoming film K-11, and many, many other things you've seen him in. Writer, actor, producer extraordinaire. Could this be Mr. Marcus Redmond?
Hello. Oh, goodness. That's better.
Wow. Hey, buddy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm a little out of breath from the introduction. That was wow.
Well, I thought you needed,
since
since Dara's not here tonight, I thought, we need to give you a proper, everybody needs to have their resume spoken for them because we're all walking IMDb.
So basically what you're saying is when Dara's on, it's just like, okay, welcome Marcus Redmond. Hey, Marcus, how you doing? When Dara is not on, it's like, well, Marcus Redmond, who hails from the Doogie Howser. Jasper, I'd be remiss if I didn't boomerang. And now that I have my cohort Marcus with me, I'd like us to just join forces, Marcus, and revel in the fact that our film will be opening March 15th. Work it out.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations! Now,
yes.
What is so is it opening domestically, worldwide?
As far as I know, it's a domestic opening, and it's also going on demand.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to. I mean, I've actually seen it, but I'd like to, see it in a theater. And again, with some other people besides the cast and crew who all love it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Right.
It's always good. I actually
The thing is, what's good is that, we've had, another thing I want to talk about just real quick. We've had such an enormous amount of support from the Kristen fans, and that's how they like to be addressed, actually.
Kristen
They're not
who?
Twilight fans. They are Kristen fans.
Kristen who? Stewart?
Kristen Stewart, yes, absolutely. The
Kristen is she in the movie?
No,
yes,
well,
she does voiceover work.
Micro cameo. Yeah, they call it a micro cameo. She actually has a voiceover in the film.
I think they call it an ultra low cameo.
Yeah, super.
I think
super,
you call it. I didn't want to be on camera, but I helped my mom. And maybe write a check. But go ahead.
Those people have really been amazing in terms of supporting the film and putting the word out there, and just because it's Kristen's mom that directed and wrote the film.
From
and
day
they have
one,
also been incredibly kind to us as cast members as well. So
all through the shooting, they were fabulous. And then the post has been great. I mean, Marcus, just to dovetail on what you're saying, and not to leave you out in any way, Jasper, I could never do that. But, these fans have been so loyal to us, just like your, why did I just blank? Josh, you're the stepfather. What is that?
Prom queen. You had a senior moment, Ralph. It's a senior moment. We all have them.
Right, and remember MacGruber, how the fans, and just like when you did your Comic-Con stuff and HorrorCon, how, so many people gravitated to you, and that's how these K11 fans were to us. And, anything Marcus and I or any cast member from K11 would write about, they would immediately post it out to their fans and to the world, and it's just a wonderful way to stay connected. And that involves the crew, that involves production, and that involves the fans. So it's a very loyal fan base.
Well, absolutely, and it's a true indie film, and that's what. Tonight we're going to talk about Golden Globes and Oscar nominations in a second, but that's what. And then of course you and Marcus and I have Here and Now, and we all have these indie films, and it's great to see, even with the Oscars, some indie films getting recognized again, and not just all the big studio pictures. So.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. It's like your film now, the Hansel and Gretel film. And it was and some of the people were saying how, the big studios are going to try to maybe diminish it because it is not the big blockbuster. It's a mockbuster, but it is totally being accepted.
That's what Asylum
really
does.
great.
They call them mockbusters because they purposely do films with a similar title right around the same release of the big studio pictures. They've been doing this for years. Yeah. And
Asylum is fierce for that, and the timing of Hansel and Gretel is really great because after the different legal things that they were going through, and now they've sailed through that. They launch Hansel and Gretel. It's totally a quality film because I happen to have seen it, and it's not trying to do anything that it's not supposed to be doing. It's a horror film, and it's fucking bloody and horror and gory, and work it out.
Right. It's kind of in an old-fashioned in the vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which, by the way, again, number one at the box office, Texas was this weekend. I swear to God, horror films are even the worst ones that open do great.
They won't blink. It doesn't matter what time of year. It doesn't matter what the economy is. It's a foolproof genre.
And not to be a big old downer, but I just have to say, as much as all that is true and it's wonderful, all of us as working actors, It's the reason why we have shootings in Newtown and in Walmart. And it's the reason why you can still go to Walmart and buy an AR-15.
Well,
online.
I don't know. I don't actually believe movies and stuff cause people, because I don't think they cause people to kill people, because, I mean, violence has been around forever. These are such isolated incidents. I mean, I don't recall anyone saying that the kid watched horror films.
Well, no, but I'm just saying I feel that this kind of horror and the blood and all the killing perpetuates people being glorified to be murderers and mass murderers and just getting joy and fame out of doing it, infamy out of doing it.
Well, when Anthony, the writer, and the director call in later, talk to them about that.
Yeah, okay.
That would be actually a good thing to bring up, Ralph. Like, do they feel like the horror genre contributes to the violence? Because it's interesting, because a lot of times the people you meet that actually do these movies are kind of like the nicest, calmest, sweetest people. But yeah, like Bill Oberst Jr., people we know that are horror genre people generally are not violent themselves. Maybe that's just the way of getting it out.
I think it's a scapegoat. I mean, it's like I think that the thing is, I think what we do as a society a lot of times is we'll blame something real simple and easy. But back in the 90s when something went wrong, it was Eminem's fault. Yeah, or somebody shot somebody, or there was some sort of mass hysteria, and it was Marilyn Manson's fault. It's easy for us to just kind of point fingers. The harder thing to do is to actually start paying attention to our kids early, before anything happens.
Right, to see the signs of mental illness and stuff.
Exactly. I think that's what happens. I don't think it's a matter of films or video games. Listen, I watched all kinds of violent stuff as a kid. I don't know how many times the Roadrunner killed Coyote. I never went out and shot anybody. But,
well, look at the animated movies. All the fairy tales are just the most violent.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always someone's being killed. Bambi, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but I don't believe. I just don't believe violence on TV and film makes people kill people. But that's my opinion. But I mean, we're just so everyone knows, because of the technical difficulties last week with the show, I've invited back the cast and crew and writer and director of Hansel and Gretel. It's one of those things where we may be getting calls, we may not. So it's periodically out throughout the show, we may be getting calls from the cast and people who were able to reschedule for this week. So, but that is a good point to bring up to Jose and Anthony, because they both are in the horror genre. They've written and directed many horror films, and that's their genre. And of course, Asylum only does horror films. They've got one of the largest horror catalogs in the world. So yeah, it'd be really interesting. But let's talk. Did you guys see? Let's talk about. Well, of course, this weekend, Sunday night is the Golden Globe Awards.
With Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosting. I love them.
I know. I think that will be hilarious. Right.
It's going to keep it buoyant and fun, and why not? Because, here we are on the parade of award shows, Jasper and Marcus, so let it be fun, right?
I totally agree. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's, Ricky Gervais had hosted it like for 3 years in a row, and now this year they're bringing in this female duo, which would be, I think, great. It should be funny, because I like both of those. I think it's going to just really be a nice change of pace, because they're very appealing, both of them. Oh, totally. And and this is the last year of 30 Rock, so I know Tina's out there a lot with promoting the last season that's going to be airing, and then Amy's Parks and Recreation, I guess, is going stronger than ever. So, and they've been best friends, I guess, going way back to Second City in Chicago, long before they did.
Oh God, it's like you and me, Jasper.
And scene, Marcus. It's kind of like you and Billy Morrison, Ralph. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I told you last, and into Billy at the drugstore. So
it's the same thing. I understand what you mean. You and I have known each other for 3 years, and they've gone back about 22 years. But it seems like I've known you for 22 years.
Right, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. But anyway, I think an interesting thing they did this year too, they actually moved up the Oscar nominations to before the Golden Globes actually came, the show. In the past, the nominations would come out, the voting would be after the Golden Globes, and a lot of people felt that would influence Oscar voters. So this year, it's interesting to see who got, because, sometimes it's the similar people get the same nominations in both shows. But this year, it's been interesting to see who didn't get nominated. I think for the Oscars, there was two huge omissions, was Ben Affleck for director and Catherine Bigelow for director. One, because Argo is one of the biggest movies of the year, and it also just won Best Picture at the Critics Film Association, Broadcast Critics Association last night, and then Catherine Bigelow won for directing Hurt Locker last year, right, or the year before?
Right.
Last year.
No, I think that was the year before.
I don't know. Some people say because they now nominate 9 or 10 movies for Best Picture, that kind of screws up the director category too, because in the past you had five movies, 5 directors, 5 best actors. Every category had 5 people. So
right.
it's an interesting. And I have to say, I've seen lots of the movies. I haven't seen them all, but Argo, for me, is one of my favorite movies of the year, and I do think it's got a really good chance for winning Best Picture. George Clooney's also one of the producers on the movie as well. So even though Ben didn't get a director's nomination, if the film wins Best Picture, he'll win an Oscar as a producer.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my big thing as I'm looking at it, for me is, I would like for the Academy to just get over it when it comes to Quentin Tarantino. It's nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
He's nominated for Best Original Screenplay.
Right.
2 of the actors are nominated for acting awards, but we can't recognize him as a director. I mean, I don't know what this is. I don't know why there's an issue, but I mean, I would like for them to just sort of get over it. This happened.
Well, he was nominated for Pulp Fiction, right?
Well, yeah, that was like 18,000 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think he's not had anything since. I mean, he's not been nominated since, right?
I mean, the thing is, and this was a point that Barbra Streisand made, years ago when her film, I think it was,
Yentl.
Gosh, I can't remember. Not Yentl. She directed the film, starred in it with Nick Nolte, I believe.
Oh, Prince of Tides, one of my favorites.
Yes, Prince of Tides. Yes,
one of my all-time favorite movies.
It gets nominated for Best Picture, but she doesn't get nominated for Best Director. And I can't remember who was hosting that year, but they said how does it become Best Picture without the director?
Well, remember a few years ago, Traffic or something like Soderbergh. It happened with Crash also. Crash won Best Picture, but the director didn't win. And then I think with
though.
Yeah, I think with Soderbergh. Yeah, right. It's happened I think it happened with Driving Miss Daisy also, where the director wasn't nominated at all, and the picture won Best Picture. But it's weird. It's almost like did it direct itself, I guess?
Exactly. Like, it's just so odd, especially when the film garners. I mean, a singular nomination is one thing. When a film garners 3, 4, 5 nominations and the director's omitted, come on. I mean, what is it that he did to somebody? Like, just get over it. You know what I mean? He said nigga 110 times. Get over it. It's over. It's done. It's happened. It's over. Just
someone recently did an article in Huffington Post about how the voting breaks down and just how close it comes down sometimes. They don't actually print the numbers, but there may be sometimes votes are 2 to 3 votes away in one category. People, and a lot of the Academy members do not vote. A lot of them are very elderly and old, and they're not even voted. So actually, sometimes only 50 to 60% of the Academy members even vote. And what's happening is, as younger and younger generations come into the Academy, more people are voting. And then what also happens is a lot of people, don't actually even see the movies. They just ask their children and grandchildren which films they liked.
Wow.
You know, so it's never really, you know, it's like it's all political. It's like high school with money anyway. I mean, it's like running for city student council in high school. You know, but
well,
there's a film
Go ahead, Jasper.
I was going to say there's this wonderful film, The Beast of the Southern Wild, that got nominated for the young girl. She's the youngest nominee, and then the director, first-time director, who's only done one short in her life, got nominated, and the movie got nominated for Best Feature, and the original budget was $300,000.
Wow.
And they shot this movie in Louisiana, and they took it to Sundance, and it sold for like $1 million or something. But I haven't seen it, but I remember my friend, writer Jerry Lee Davis called me months and months ago and said, I just saw this most amazing indie film, and I hope it doesn't get lost in the shuffle, he said, but it's this amazing film, and it's called The Beast of the Wild. So I get excited when I see...
That's a great story. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, because you figure she literally took Ben Affleck's place on the director's list, or Catherine Bigelow.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, and that's just an example of how a little film can make an impact. And then you have this 85-year-old lady from a film called Amour, which I haven't seen. She would be the oldest in the lead actress category. And I
see her picture here.
Yeah, and I saw Silver Linings Playbook last night, finally, and, you know, talk about an actor like a Bradley Cooper, and Ralph, this is something we talk about with you doing comedy. You know, Bradley's been known from these over-the-top hangover movies, and, I mean, this is one of the most amazing movies I've seen in years. I mean, Robert De Niro, and seriously, this Jennifer Lawrence, I've only seen her in Winter's Bone. I don't watch Hunger Games or any of those kind of movies, and she was really good in Winter's Bone, and I know she got an Oscar nomination, but I'm going to tell you, this is the kind of thing where you're watching a movie, and the first 20 minutes you have De Niro and you have Bradley Cooper and this Jackie Weaver who got nominated as the mom, and it's good, and it's running its course, and then all of a sudden this girl walks into the movie, and it's just electrifying. It's like the moment she entered the frame, the movie took off.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence has been doing quality work, and Hunger Games was something I was not looking forward to because I was not a fan of the Twilight thing. I thought it was horribly boring and overhyped, and I thought that the Hunger Games would be the same thing. But I have to tell you, man, the Hunger Games was captivating because of her.
Well, that's what I've heard. Yeah, that's what everyone says.
She literally elevates what it is. She completely elevates what it is. And to see her come out of Winter's Bone and move into, the big commercial thing that's going to, solidify her as a star with Hunger Games, but still be able to come and do films like Silver Linings Playbook and just turn in another amazing performance. I am so glad she was found. And
David O. Russell, the director-writer of Silver Linings, he's the one that, do you remember a few years back that footage got released of Lily Tomlin fighting with the director? That's David Russell, and he's notoriously a prick, and he did, of course, David, I'll work with you anytime. I love pricks, as you know. But I just want, and you're welcome on the show anytime. But I just remember seeing that footage, and, he did Three Kings with George Clooney, and then he did The Fighter. But this is I'm watching the movie last night thinking, okay, if this is his semi-autobiographical story, then he truly had one fucked up childhood. I mean, he was truly fucked up. But then I heard it's really based on his son. I think he has a son that has some problems. But then that means he's sort of the De Niro character in the movie, which he has a lot of his own issues in the movie, OCD, and it's basically because it's the story of someone who's bipolar and had some things happen and family issues and marriage it's just fascinating because Jennifer Lawrence, I don't know if you guys heard this past week, she got into a lot of people went after her because she spoke honestly, kind of like I talk about sometimes about acting. She made a comment that she didn't think it was brain surgery, you know.
Yeah, she said it was stupid. She's acting stupid. What's the big deal? Yeah, she did get a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, so if you noticed, I don't know if anyone watched the Critics Broadcast Awards last night, she won for Hunger Games and then she won for Silver Linings. And when she got her Silver Linings, now you got to remember the publicists, everyone's now been told the Academy voters are watching you now because the nominations came out. So now, between now and, you know, the deadline. So she made this, it was a very conscious speech about, I'm so honored to be in this business and film has changed my life. And all of you people in this room have really, you know, allowed me to be an actress. And
I love it.
It was very calculated.
After her first comment, it was like, Jen, yeah, listen.
Yeah, let's try to. I mean, you know how publicists are. I'm sure they were like, wherever she made that first comment, they were off camera slitting their wrists, like.
Right.
Well, because she
what
turned.
What does the phone conversation go like? Okay, Marty, get Jennifer on the phone, would you? Hello?
Well, yeah.
Jen,
I mean, she just turned,
listen. Marty.
She just turned 22, you know, during the making of this movie. So she's a kid. I mean, she's a kid, really. She just, you know, I don't know. I think
she's a kid and she's also a female because, you know, I'm sure no one remembers this. Michael Douglas said the exact same thing about 15 years ago.
Oh, he did?
Michael Douglas said the exact same thing at a charity event for, I think it was for either AIDS or cancer, because he specifically said, this isn't brain surgery we're doing. It's not like we're curing cancer.
Right.
But if we can help raise money to bring awareness for things and stop diseases from spreading, then it's worth it. He said the exact same thing, and no one had any issue with it at all. So I think, you know, it's context. I think B, it's, you know, she's not been around probably long enough to get away with saying stuff like that. And B, C rather, I think it's a little bit of a female thing.
I think
I think that if it was Jonathan Lawrence, it may not have had such an impact negatively. But
well, you know, I like it because I just, as much as I say, everybody has their method. Everyone finds their way. Whatever works for every actor is different. But, you know, I can't stand actors who sit around and pontificate about their craft and how they got into character and what they do, and they breathing exercises and they rolled around on the floor. Just say the fucking lines and shut up, really.
That's your.
I mean, whatever you had to do in the car to get here, just that's fine. But I don't need to hear about your sense of memory activities.
It's private. It's private stuff. Nobody needs to know it.
Well, and the director doesn't want to.
Sing it, Ralph?
It's like a bowel movement, private.
Exactly.
Well, not if you're in prison, and you both should know that because you just played prisoners in K11.
Oh, yeah, I actually, without giving too much away.
I had a private call.
No, but I'm saying if you're in jail, sometimes allegedly you share one toilet in the middle of the room.
I had a private call.
Okay, bitch, but you were an actor. You weren't a real prisoner.
That's drugs.
Right. Oh, my God, I forgot. Thanks.
Yeah, Ralph, that wasn't reality, sweetie. That was you were playing a part. Yeah, that wasn't a real civil brand was closed.
Now, I want to ask a question.
Uh-huh.
I want to ask a question in regards to the nominations, because I personally believe that there was a huge what do they call it?
Omission? Oversight?
Yes, completely.
For a Hansel and Gretel?
Well, that goes without saying, obviously. But I think it was the timing. I think it was released too late. So I
think we have a chance for next year.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
are you guys familiar with Samantha Barks?
Samantha who?
Samantha Barks.
No.
Okay. Samantha Barks played Eponine in Les Mis.
In the movie?
In the movie. Now here's the thing.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard about her. Okay.
Samantha Barks has an incredible story and is an incredible talent. Samantha, there was a show on the BBC 2008, and it was a reality competition show, much like American Idol, but instead of the prize being a record contract, it was a lead role in a Broadway musical written by Andrew Lloyd Webber. And the show was called I'll Do Anything. Samantha Barks was a contestant on this show, and she was fantastic. She came in third place, but she ultimately ended up having a very productive career on stage. She played the role of Eponine in Les Mis in London. She played it on stage in 2010. And then they put together a 25th anniversary performance of Les Mis as a concert musical. Mm-hmm. She was handpicked, chosen to play Eponine again in that. That was 4 hours of complete brilliance on everyone's part, but I tell you, the whole thing truly came alive when she came on and sang On My Own.
Really?
She released her rendition of On My Own, actually charted on the Billboard charts.
Right.
And she is the only person that had done the play, on stage that was chosen to be in the film. And she reprised her role for a third time.
And that never happens. That's rare.
Never. It never happens. This is a brilliant girl, and she is only 22 years old.
Wow.
She is only 22 years old. She has the voice of an angel. She's amazing. She makes you feel everything. I can't believe that they forgot about Samantha Barks. And so I know she's not a big name. I know people don't know her in America. She doesn't have a lot of film credits at all. This is probably like her first, real role in the feature film. But she comes from a small little town in the Great Britain, and she has an amazing voice. She's an amazing talent, and I hope that even though she was looked over for a nomination, I hope and pray that Hollywood take notice of this girl and we see and hear a lot more of her. Her name is Samantha Barks.
Well, we should try to get her on the show. That would be great.
She'd
be great. Well, that supporting Oscar category is really tight. Although I think it's Anne Hathaway's year. I mean, I think by putting her in supporting and not Best Actress, kind of locked her in to win because.
Yeah. Well, that's
right. I know
too.
Helen Hunt. I haven't seen Session. I couldn't believe, first of all, a big oversight was John Hawkes not getting nominated for the Sessions because, he was nominated for a Golden Globe, for a SAG Award. He was nominated for Winter's Bone, but didn't slip in there for the Oscar. But in that supporting female category, I think that's just some stiff competition. Well, actually, every category this year there were people left.
It really is.
I mean, like Django Unchained, which I'm going to see this weekend, but Django, when people started seeing it, the first time everybody would come back to me and rave about Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel Jackson, especially Samuel Jackson, that he was unrecognizable and that Leo was once again showing that he really is a brilliant character actor like he used to be prior to Titanic,
Right.
But then, Christopher Waltz gets nominated, and I totally forgot that he was in the movie, but apparently he's got a huge role, and he won the Oscar for Inglourious Bastard. So,
which was also Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly. That got a Best Picture nomination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's if anybody in the Academy's listening, let's get over this problem that we have with Quentin Tarantino.
Well, I have to boomerang it to me. I did get to audition for Django Unchained, and I did get to meet Quentin last year.
Wow.
I didn't get it. One of the racist bad guys in the movie. I don't know who earned it, but apparently there's some great parts for character actors throughout the movie too. Playing these kind of racist people, corrupt people.
Well, you think about his career. I mean, you think about his films. I mean, he's sort of the character actor's director. I mean, this is not a guy that's
Coen brothers,
hiring pretty boys.
He and the Coen brothers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking for people that are brilliant, but they're not, they're not models. he found John Travolta when John Travolta was all fat and bloated and done for. You know what I mean? This is what he does. I mean, I just don't
Isn't that
understand
John
why.
Travolta today?
Well, well, yes, but it's a lot more high profile. He's fat, but it's a high profile fat. Before, everyone has forgotten, and he had just gotten fat on his own, and Quentin just went
sometimes
fat.
sometimes you can't deal with yourself, you eat your sexuality, but that's okay, Kirstie Alley. Allegedly, whatever. Again, Scientology, whatever works for them. Clear your aura, Tom Cruise. Do it all. Jenna Elfman. All of them.
Oh my goodness!
So now, okay, so should we take on the television? Should we take on the television nominations for the Golden
Globes? Yes.
I'm a lot more familiar with the TV.
Well,
than
of course
I am
you are, because you are a TV star, having starred on Doogie Howser and Murder One and numerous. That's not a word. Numerous pilots.
Numerous, but yes, and I'm also extraordinarily lazy. So that means that I see a lot of TV.
Well, don't make it racist. Go ahead. You don't have to pull the race card, Marcus. Right, Ralph?
Exactly.
Thank you.
So I'm excited about these nominations for Best Drama Series.
Okay.
I'm excited about them all.
Don't you think one of them has the lock on it?
You know, I mean, if we're talking politics, then it's probably Homeland. But I honestly don't believe that Homeland is the best show here. I really don't.
Right.
In fact, I think it's probably the worst show on this list.
Right.
Because the newsroom is, I'm a little upset that The Good Wife isn't on here because The Good Wife.
That's interesting because The Good Wife was this is like the first year I think it's not on there.
Yeah. I mean, The Good Wife and The Newsroom to me are very specific because they're shows that ought to be boring.
Right.
It should be a very boring show.
Just based on the pitch of the show.
Yeah, exactly. To sit in a courtroom and go la-di-da, la-di-da, or to have people in a newsroom going la-di-da, la-di-da. It ought to be boring as fuck. Mm-hmm. But they managed to make it so compelling, and the actors are so amazing. Emily Mortimer on The Newsroom is beyond brilliant.
Former Oscar nominee.
Yes. I mean, it's just so
Jeff
good.
Daniels.
Jeff Daniels is brilliant.
And don't forget Aaron Sorkin is the creator and writer. So
right, so he's snorting coke or doing whatever he's doing to put out those amazing
West
scripts.
Wing, Few Good Men,
It's just they're just shows that are just so amazing. So I'm really happy to see The Newsroom on the list, but I am sad to see The Good Wife off of it because I think The Good Wife should be. I think it's just so superior of a show. I'm very disappointed in this Best Television Series Comedy. First of all, let's get rid of this. It's TV comedy. That's it. I don't know why we have to throw it in with musical.
Yeah, the Golden Globes, they do that. They combine categories, especially in the supporting categories. You'll end up with somebody from a TV movie in with a series for supporting. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Read us the list, Marcus, of Best Comedy.
Well, this is Best Television Series, Comedy or Musical, and as I read it to you, you'll realize how stupid it is. The Big Bang Theory. Episodes, which really...
No one's ever seen it. But Matt LeBlanc keeps winning the Emmy and the Golden Globe, so... It's
just stupid. And Girls... Which,
that's a big hit with people.
Whatever.
I've never seen it.
Modern
they all need
Family,
to. Okay.
Which I has yet to make me laugh, and Smash.
Okay. Well, I do like Smash.
I love Smash, but it's not a comedy. It don't belong in here.
They have that in the comedy category. Oh, because it's a musical.
Well, it's because it's comedy or musical. It's just stupid. How do you make an informed decision as a voter between those four.
Okay, so out of that group, which one of those would you pick for comedy?
None of them.
Well, that's not you. But what if you? Okay, but for tonight's show,
if I had to pick one of these things, none of these shows. You know what? If these are the only options available to me,
right,
I would pick Smash.
Okay.
Because Big Bang Theory, Episodes, Girls, and Modern Family, they all have one key element missing for me in the comedy category. Comedy is supposed to make you laugh,
right? Not
roll your eyes and flip off the television. And that's what these other four shows do. So since they all suck, and Smash is actually a very good show, despite the fact it's not a comedy, I would have to pick Smash.
Now, but Ralph, on the other hand, Ralph, I know you love Modern Family, right?
I am a fan of Modern Family, and it has made me laugh because of the subtleties of the comedians. And I like that kind of, it's a preciseness in technique that I'm just very impressed with how a lot of them handle that with the single camera, Marcus.
But see, none of that sounds funny to me. Like it sounds technically advanced, but it's what I can't get the funny out of it. I know that they think that what's her name, Sofia Vergara, messing up English is funny.
Right.
I know,
but it's like a one joke funny. It's funny one time.
Yeah, exactly. Now, see, there's also stylistic shows. There's a show on ABC called Happy Endings.
Hilarious.
And Happy
I love
Endings,
that show.
It's hysterical. It makes you laugh. To me,
it's so funny how these six character comedies are successful.
See, it's so great because it's like a new version of Friends for
exactly.
a
how
new
often
generation.
Do you hang out with five other people, Marcus? Consistently.
Say one more time.
How often do you hang out with five other people consistently every day of your life?
Oh, I'm a bad example. I'm a writer. I don't hang out with anybody.
But
no, but
I don't either.
But
you know what, Ralph? I think we'd be surprised in that age group, in that age category. I think more people do.
Oh yeah, back in my 20s, all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, in my 20s, I lived in a house with like 5 other dudes, and we threw parties all the time. We did everything together.
We do one now with like people in the older generation doing that. Well, I guess they do kind of like Hot in Cleveland. That's only 3 of them, but it's like.
I mean, no, I think back to I had one time I had 2 roommates, and then there were the 2 guys across the hall used to come up. I mean, I've always been the loner. I'd be the one going.
Those are called tricks, Jasper.
Wow, that's it. That's interesting. That you would even want to start with me on that, but since
we were on such a good roll, we were on topic and everything.
Since I'm on topic, and I'm not going to get thrown off topic, I'm going to stay on course. But I am going to say, you're going to laugh, Marcus, when I tell you this. Okay, I used to say, because I'd never watched the show, I used to say I had rather have a colonoscopy with no anesthesia than watch The Big Bang Theory. But then I was on a plane and afraid it was going to crash because I'm afraid of flying, and I will watch anything to divert my attention. So I watched Big Bang Theory like 7 episodes in a row, and I was laughing out loud.
Now, here's my contention. You were a captive audience.
Desperate.
You were stuck on a plane.
You were crashing.
Desperate for diversion and distraction. Have you since watched the show 7 episodes deep in the comfort of your own home?
No, but let me say I don't watch. Let me say I don't watch any scripted television except for Smash, and that's it. There's not one network or cable show right now that I watch except for reality TV.
Man, I got to tell you, you know what? I would love to put a list together for you of shows to try because there is more good stuff going on in network television than what the studios are putting out.
But here's the problem, and you guys tell me. I was in a meeting with an actor, writer, director yesterday. I mean, about Marcus, our film, Here and Now. And okay, here's my problem. And listeners, if there are any actors out there listening and you want to call in at 646-727-1328, I have gotten to this point in my career where because I work in TV and film, I'm no longer able to watch a show because I know exactly how it's done, the illusion is gone, and there's no interest for me whatsoever. Like, even with movies, I'm going to be honest with you. I was talking to this guy, Gregory, yesterday. When I watch a movie now, when I watch Lincoln, this is what I was thinking. Oh, shit. I bet it was 100 fucking degrees. And they are in 8 layers of clothing and makeup and hair. And I wonder I bet somebody was sick that day. I was thinking I probably would have vertigo. And, I mean, this is because the illusion is broken for me. So I can't. Reality TV, I think because I don't do it, it's the one medium left that I don't work in really, per se. And so it's really pissed me off that I'm not able to enjoy the mediums anymore.
But I think you should try to let that go. Here's an analogy, Jasper. It's just like when you're kissing a person.
Okay. Here we go, Marcus, on topic.
When you're kissing them, you don't think about the spit and mucus that comes out of that mouth daily. You just think about how wonderful it is to kiss them. So it's kind of like when you go to the movies, you have to forget that you're an actor and suspend your belief and just enjoy the movie.
Well, first of all, usually I'm kissing if there's real estate involved or there's something that's coming back to me in a monetary.
I tried to make it only kiss one person, so I was trying to make it come from that point of view.
I'm not even one of those. A lot of actors, they can't watch other things because they just can't stand not being in it or they're jealous. A lot of actors, Marcus, you know that. A lot of people, they can't watch other shows because they just can't stand that they're not on the show or something.
Oh, please.
Mine is just strictly from a technical point of view of just those times when, like even with horror movies, and just how long it's going to take to get all that fake blood off of you when you get home at night. And it's just funny how I've crossed over now. I guess I'm really old, and I've been in the business so long now that I'm looking at how hard or long their days were on the set. Even in Silver Linings Playbook, there were scenes last night where I thought, shit, I hope they didn't have to do many takes of that one, But that's my problem with series TV. Smash, because you know why? Smash is...
Because it's a musical.
It's a musical. It's something I can't do at all. I can't sing. I don't dance. I don't do musicals. It's Broadway, which I don't do and I've never done. Again, I think it's because it's not my genre.
It takes you out of the thing. You know what? When I first started to study acting and I first started to understand the craft and what was actually going on, I had a similar situation. And it really, 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 really pissed off anybody who I watched television with for like the first 6 months, because I would be breaking scenes down because I'm looking at performances and I'm understanding what has to happen and blah, blah, blah. Like Ralph is saying, it's something that I let go, and I think if you think about it like this. Let's say you were a plumber.
Which I could be. Mm-hmm.
Right? So, you know how you go to somebody's house and you hear their toilet running or whatever, you know what the problem is.
Ralph, you listening? We're talking about toilets. Go ahead.
turns a knob, the water, there's stuff that but there's always conventions, there's always stuff, because you have to stay up on what's happening. If there's some sort of new
you got to get the newest plunger and the newest
you got to know
to get the drain out, and
So think about it like that. Think about it like, okay, I this is my industry, yes, and you know everything, but at the same time, you still have to kind of be up on what's going on, because as you know, a lot of times you're auditioning for these shows, and so a lot of these shows have styles. There's a lot of like a similarity in their guest spots or what have you, and you want to know this is what they do.
Well, I can tell you, that's the interesting thing. I may not be able to tell you. I don't watch these shows, but I know every one of the shows. Like I can tell you everything about the shows. I know who's on the shows, and I feel like I can see enough clips on different interview shows, and I will know the style of the show without having to watch it. But I just remember the days when I used to watch. I could go to 2 movies a day. I loved nothing better than going to the theater by myself and watching matinees. But I wasn't working. I wanted to be working,
Right.
And
right.
So it's almost like I don't know. It's just part of me that I wish would change. But the other thing is, if I have a friend that's on a show or someone's on a guest spot or whatever, I will TiVo that show, and I will a lot of times fast forward to see them, just so I don't have to watch the show.
Wow, you're just being so revealing tonight.
Well, I mean, it's like because it just does not interest me. The illusion is gone.
Wow.
It's now go on the other side of that. I love doing it. Like I could stay all day on the set. I could be there all day. I could be there all night. I can't wait to go. I love doing it. Not so great about seeing it.
So interesting.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
if there are any listeners that have that similar thing, give us a buzz. But listen, guys, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to continue on with the nominations, and we may be having Anthony C. Ferrante, the director of Hansel and Gretel, Jose Prendes. Say it for me, Ralph. Jose
Prendes.
Prendes, the writer, because Ralph can roll those R's with his tongue.
I certainly can. I work with Kate Vasseville.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
We're going to get all back into the nominations and do a little Hansel and Gretel and all that good stuff. But we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll continue on. You're listening to On the Set with Jasper Cole, and we'll be right back. Bye-bye.
Come back, Planet Earth.
You're back on the set with Hollywood's bad guy, Jasper Cole. Here's Jasper Cole.
Yeah! All right. Howdy, and welcome back to On the Set with Jasper Cole. This is Jasper Cole, and we are coming to you at the top of our second hour of On the Set with Jasper Cole on this Friday evening. And I'm here with my trusty cohorts, Mr. Ralph Cole Jr. and Mr. Marcus Redmond. Hello, Planet Earth. Hello. My latte mocha brothers.
Yes, and speaking of latte, would you like another refill?
Yeah, Ralph, I would actually. I'd like another 20 ounce to keep me going.
I should have done that during the break, but I had to go out and make a phone call.
Well, Marcus, if you ever want to make the trek down again and join us in the studio, we'd love to have you.
Oh, it'd be fun, Marcus.
That would be fun. We should.
Well, just bring ISIS, and then you could do something in the city and then go back.
That would be a lot of fun. We should come down and do the studio thing again. I love doing this.
You can bring some more Nerium.
Yeah.
Some Nerium
yes,
AD. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I could.
Well, listen, I just heard while we were in the break that, they were talking about the Argo. Well, Iran is so upset with the movie that they now have hired their top, I love they say their top Iranian director. I'm thinking, do they have a film industry? I didn't even know they had cameras. But they're now filming, they're going to do their take on their side of the story of Argo and what went down with the crisis situation.
Oh, it's just like when the Marines did that cover of Call Me Maybe.
Yeah, it's just like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I like to keep it current and contemporary.
Right, Marcus?
For our young listeners.
Ralph,
yes,
I was thinking
exactly.
the exact same thing. You and I are so in tune.
Gibson.
Yeah,
Exactly.
when you think of Argo and Iran, I think of Carly Rae and Call Me Later. Call Me Maybe. What's the name of the song?
Call Me Maybe.
I don't know. I refuse to even repeat it because I feel like it's sacrilege.
Well, since I have two African American divas on with me tonight, I would be remiss if we don't discuss one little bit of entertainment gossip. Did you hear about Miss Diana Ross this week? And
why? What happened?
Well, call me Miss Ross. There's a restaurant in Beverly Hills, La Scala, which is one of these foo-foo, restaurants in Beverly Hills, and apparently Miss Ross went there to meet one of her daughter, La Chacha La Rasha, somebody, Barry Gordy, illegitimate child she tried to hide with Barry Gordy.
What's wrong with black people? Can't they name their children properly?
I'd like La Rusha, or something like that. God. I don't know. Probably it's Betty, but anyway. She went to meet her there, and she arrived, and she had a reservation for 2, and they said they have a policy. We don't seat you until the entire party has arrived, which a lot of restaurants have that. They don't want to. They want to wait till your party comes before they seat you. And so she just said, fine. So she just went and sat down at a table by herself anyway. And the waitress came over and said, well, I'm sorry, but we're not going to be allowed to serve you now until your party comes. And she says, I'm good. So she pulled out a Snapple bottle, a water bottle, a bag of trail mix. She pulled out all these snacks and sat at the table and proceeded to eat her snacks and try to drink her beverages waiting on the daughter. So apparently the host staff and everyone came over to her and was like, do you think you're special just because you're a celebrity? And then she got into a verbal smackdown with them. So when the daughter arrived, Miss Ross and all of them were like going at each other's throat. So I guess the question is, do you believe because she's Diana Ross, she should have been treated any differently?
How did
she should not have been treated differently?
Who gives a shit? Why? How? Who? Somebody reported this. Somebody took the time to write this down and put it in a publication. Who gives
well, it
a
was
shit?
in the, of course. I have perused TMZ. Of course, I don't watch it. Hollywood's bad guy can't watch that shit. But anyway, but that was a lead story on TMZ this week that Diana Ross was, causing a ruckus.
Jasper, you asked an interesting question, Jasper.
Right.
You ask an interesting question because what is it about our society that because you are a celebrity, that you are on the news all the time, or that you're always seen on television, or that you're totally recognizable, allows you to just carte blanche be able to skip a long line and get to the front of the line? Why does our society do that? That's such a funny human nature thing, and it's the kind of thing that we're never going to be able to answer. I mean, just think about it like this, Jasper. Just clearly like this. You and I go to Hamburger Hamlet, and there is a line.
Well, not together, we don't.
Oh, hell no, not together.
Oh, no, we would never be seen in public together.
Oh, no, I don't like being with you. It's not a pleasant time. But I'm saying, say we went to Hamburger Hamlet together, and there is this, horribly huge line.
Right.
And we get there, and somebody recognizes you from Hansel and Gretel. And
right, because that's going to happen.
Say what?
And that's going to happen.
Well, it's hypothetical, Jasper. Try to work with me on the show.
I'm trying to. I know. It's all about timing, Ralph. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then they escort you right up to the front of the line. Why is that justified? Why? Because we recognize you from Hansel and Gretel or from whatever show that we recognize you from, does that now allow you to get to the front of the line when other people who are just as hardworking as you are have to wait in the line?
Well, here's my take on it. I don't think Miss Ross should have gotten any special treatment, but if they offered it to you and I, hell yeah, we're going to the front of the line.
Oh, well, of course, the front of the line. Like we always say, we'd lick the sidewalk to work with Meryl Streep, of course.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't like these celebrities that expect it and then pull that card.
Exactly.
It's one thing if they offer it to them, would you like to
Miss
not
Ross,
wait?
would you like some trail mix and Snapple while you wait, girl?
Oh, you had to make it real ghetto, like Ebonics?
Oh, did it sound ghetto to you? Oh, my God. See, my dialect classes are working.
And you just got gayer and gayer as you said that, too.
I don't care. I'm way too gay. So that's the whole point.
Yeah, the gay, that just crossed way over the table over here.
I am so glad. I could jetay around you right now, damn it. And when
listen, guys, I think that we do have one of our first call-in guest, and let's welcome here. Could this be Mr. Anthony Ferrante?
Yes, it is.
Hey, buddy.
Anthony!
Wow. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. This is pretty cool.
Well, listen, say hi to, because they'll get really upset. My co-hosts, Ralph Cole Jr. and Marcus Redmond.
Hey, Ralph. Hey, Marcus. How you doing?
Hey Anthony. Welcome to our show.
I am very excited. This sounds very fun.
Well,
Anthony. I'm really glad to meet you because, Jasper and I do a lot of talking off the air, and the experience that he did with Hansel and Gretel, he's done, since I've known him, all the different projects he's done, he had such a terrific time getting to do this with you guys.
Oh,
so I'm really happy to meet you this way.
I was really blessed. The first movie I worked on, I had a really good cast. The second movie was pretty good. But the thing that was really great about this film is that we all kind of went into it knowing what our limitations were, and yet everybody was there 150%. I mean, it was just like I loved my cast on this movie because everybody wanted to do such a great job. They didn't perceive it as, this is just a little low budget movie or whatever. Mm-hmm. We all, even with Jasper and Frank's roles, there wasn't dialogue, but we talked about how do we make these characters interesting,
right?
And how do we create a backstory so it comes across. And when you see the finished movie, you see that every scene there's a purpose. Even though it's a horror film, we thought, what is this scene about? What is going on? And everybody was just so into it. And you don't get that, as you know, Jasper, on a lot of these movies, even big studio movies. It's just it was just a great time. I had so much fun on this movie.
Well, God, that's really, really great to hear because I've seen the film and I very, very much enjoyed it. And I'm not even a horror person, Anthony. And I don't know if you heard earlier on our show, I had made the comment that movies like this, I'm not saying directly make somebody become a mass murderer, but I feel that it helps glorify the infamy they can derive from doing that. And when you see a film such as Hansel and Gretel, your version of Hansel and Gretel, where it is commonplace to have a knife stuck through your hand or to have an axe now nearly decapitate you, or to have the illusion of I am eating stuff off my own body, I'm eating myself, and the degradation of having a girl locked in captivity with an apple in her mouth going into an oven, all of that kind of domination.
What's the problem, Ralph? What's the problem with that?
I guess I'll just cut to the chase, Anthony, and bring it, ask you like this. As a writer yourself and a special makeup person with expertise in that venue, to make things look gruesome in horror, do you feel that horror contributes to some of these horrible societal mass killings that we have?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, this has come up a lot of times over the last, 10 years. You've had Columbine. You always have these horrible things, and the first thing that they go after is they go, it's this, it's that, it's the movies that did it, it's this. But honestly, I was like 10 or 11 and I was watching horror films, and I understood what they were. I understood what they were about. I was scared. I mean, my mom let me watch Friday the 13th, and I didn't turn into a mass murderer. I understood the difference between right and wrong. I think that the thing is, yes, movies like this could set people off, but there's already problems to begin with. And I think if you look at all the tragedies that have happened, you have to look at upbringing as part of it. When you read it, the Columbine thing, the parents knew that these kids had all these guns sitting around. They didn't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. There was clearly paper trails. The faculty knew there were issues. There's always a clear sign that people know that there's something that's going on, but everybody's afraid to say, look, let's try to get this person help. Let's try to educate them. Let's try to make sure that they don't go off the deep end. And we just let it happen. it's not watching Friday the 13th or watching Hansel Gretel is not going to make someone go off the deep end and do something. They may glean something from that, but they're already having problems and issues. It's just like saying, they could go past the McDonald's and suddenly go, I see the Big Mac there, and I want to go kill somebody.
I could be driving. You could be driving down the street and run off the road on the sidewalk and decide to just plow down 50 people that have nothing to do with anything I'm watching on TV. So I don't know about you, Anthony. I was saying earlier, it's interesting to me that so many of the people who actually do horror, the writers, the producers, the directors, the actors, when you actually meet them, some of them are really the nicest, most gentle, unviolent people anyway to begin with. And a lot of the horror fans that I meet, there's the cliche, like the nerdy Comic-Con kind of guys or whatever, which, again, nonviolent, So it's just, I don't know. I don't believe that. I think, and both you and Marcus are parents, and like you said, I think there's got to be an issue already there with a person having mental illness or something that's already there. A movie's not going to set them off.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of I think it's just a matter of a lack of, listen, we have become a society, and I apologize for that because I know we're way off topic about the movie, but we've become a society where nothing is our fault. We have no responsibility in terms of anything that's done. Everything has happened to us. So there's never a time where we take responsibility for any action or for anyone in our lives even. It's always someone else's fault. And I think the music, I think the films, I think they're just easy targets because they're out there and they're public, and it's an easy diversion. It's an easy way to say, oh, well, it's not my fault. It's the horror movie.
Right.
It goes like this, though. This is what has to happen. See, it's the thing of it's the education process. When you have a kid, if you sit a kid in front of a TV and show them these horrible images and don't put context and don't say this is right or wrong, and they play video games and they get disconnected and they start losing themselves and they have mental problems but no one is paying attention, that's where you start having those issues. If you have a kid and you go, look, this is okay. If you want to watch it, this is fine. But there's a clear delineation. Now, if your kid watches, a horror movie for the first time, and there's something that happens to an animal, and the first thing they do is they go out and start killing animals, then your job is to go, okay, we have an issue. Now, the movie may have inspired that person to potentially do something horrible, but it's the parent's job to go, look, there is a serious issue here that it regardless of whether it was that or they saw a dead animal on the road, there's something wrong. And we tend to turn a blind eye to when people are hurting or having issues or clearly have mental illness, and we don't deal with it. I'll even, and the other thing too is I'll tell you, we get knocked in the movie industry, but the first thing the MPA goes is, oh well, it's or the gun people started talking about. Well, movies contribute, and they started citing like American Psycho and National Born Killers, which were from 1990s movies. No kid watches those movies. They were. That was an argument when those movies came out. They didn't even cite recent things. They were grasping at straws at stuff. They would have cited recent movies like The Saw or Hostel. I would have understood that. But they weren't doing that. But it's this thing that just constantly. It irritates me a lot, as you can see, because the media, the news media, constantly flaunts these killers on air, and they call them by name and they sensationalize it, and they do 24/7. If anything has an influence, it's the fact that we're saying, look, you do something like this, and you will be famous. And to me, that is the impetus more so than a movie, because it's the idea of someone is going to pay attention to me because no one does pay attention to me.
Exactly.
I absolutely agree.
Well, listen, we always like to talk about the journey here on the show, and you mentioned earlier that you were watching, horror at 11. So tell us, I'm assuming you had an interest in horror early on, but how did you get into the industry? I know you have a background in special effects makeup, but I just would love for our listeners to hear, because everybody's journey seems to be different. There's no like ABC kind of, journey to get in this business. So how did you start out?
Well, I started. I knew and I can't explain what it was, but I knew like at age 11 I wanted to make films. Prior to that, it was like, it'd be cool to drive a truck and dig up dirt and stuff. Like every boy, like dig up dirt. Drive one of those tractors, whatever. But then it's like 11. I just, I was really into movies, and I was like, I want to direct films. And I came from a small town in Northern California, and I had no concept what that meant. How do you make films when there's nothing around you or no one around you that's not Hollywood? You don't have access to it. So I started to write about it in like my class papers. I started like as a critic kind of thing, because that's the only thing I understood that could possibly do, because I would see the critics on TV and so by entree I started doing journalism. So I started writing from the elementary school through junior high and high school, and learning about film that way, and then eventually getting to interview people and working for Fangoria and all that stuff. And then I started doing short films. I got into a local community college, had a film class. So in high school, I was able to take that, and I learned how to shoot, edit, and that kind of opened up the world to me. And from there, it was just like exponential. Okay, how do I break in the industry? And I worked on a film where I was did some makeup effects with somebody, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and I had no idea how I was going to get into the industry, but I knew a couple people through interviews I had done, and they hired me as a PA. And someone said, hey, we need someone to manage some of the effects, and I knew a lot of the effects guys, and so I got sucked into doing makeup effects, and that's kind of where it all started. And every movie that I worked on, I wanted to do second unit, and the director would say, okay, you can do second unit, and I want to be involved in the script stages. So I just got my Roger Corman training that way,
right.
At the same time making a living being a journalist. So I got to interview all my idols. I got to learn so much doing that. So that's kind of the short version of it.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's fascinating, because again, I always say we all have this way. Because I manage actors too, and people will come to me and say, well, how do you get in the business? And I'm always like, it's not like you go to law school and do this and become a lawyer. Everybody has a way in, and there's no right or wrong way. But so you've got tons of credits, and everyone, please, can look up Anthony on IMDb. And I'm noticing you were doing the special effects, and then you made your jump to you did a short, The Surreal World. There was a short you wrote and produced, edited and directed in 2001. Was that sort of your first directing leap, the short?
No. Well, no. When I started, I went to San Francisco State. That's the other thing I left out. I went to community college. Went to San Francisco State for film, and then I was doing shorts constantly on the side. So that's just one of many shorts we did. I did a short prior to that we shot on 16 millimeter called God Talk, which was a satire on religion, and that was probably the biggest thing that I'd done up until that point. And we got I got Bruce Campbell to narrate it for me. I mean, I got all these directors that I talked to do voice cameos, like John Carpenter and David Cronenberg. So it was like not knowing any better, and I just was lucked into getting a lot of that stuff.
Right.
But everything was like I was working on films, doing makeup specs, and I was doing these shorts on the side using the stuff that I learned on those films.
Exactly.
And, you have to just, and if you want to make movies or you want to direct and write, you just do it, and you don't think about it. So whenever I would have a little bit of money, I would go and try that. And The Surreal World was kind of like a parody of the Real World show with the characters from Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Okay.
So it was kind of like sticking those characters in a house. And it was mockumentary style, but I wanted to shoot it like a full episode of a TV show, which we did, and it was pretty ambitious, and it did well for us. So that was.
Tell us about your film Boo in 2005, because you've gotten a lot of attention for Boo as well.
Boo was my first full feature, and when I was working on effects on a film called Progeny. It was shot at a hospital called Linda Vista. And,
I've worked there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a creepy place. And so when we had downtime, I just walk around the place, and I kept going, this is already scary. And we were using it as a normal hospital in the movie that we were in. They made it make it like a regular hospital, even though it's not functioning. And essentially, I go, well, if anybody's ever going to give me money to make a movie, it has to be a single location film. Mm-hmm. So I wrote this script, Boo, because I love ghost stories and I love suspense. And I wrote it around this location. And a lot of some of the stuff that we actually did on that show, like I went into the basement with some of the people on the crew. We rigged a wheelchair with fishing line. So we'd bring people down in the basement and go, this place is haunted, and we'd have someone behind the door pulling the wheelchair, and everybody would just run upstairs. So I just cribbed all these stories and everything and created this mythology of the hospital for the movie. And as luck would have it, after doing a bunch of stuff in it, David Allen, the producer, said, I want to make this movie. And I go, well, I'd like to shoot it at Linda Vista, which when you write a script, you never get to shoot the place that you actually wrote it for.
Right.
And we shot at Linda Vista, and it was a great experience. That was another great cast. Some of the people that are also in Boo are in HANSEL and Gretel are in that. And we got a lot of bang for the buck, and it was a good entry into the industry.
Well, that location, I've done 2 projects there. That they have that moor down in the basement too, where they have the drains in the floor where they would actually, I guess, drain the blood out of the bodies or whatever. It's a creepy ass place. I mean, especially if you shoot there at night, it's really scary. So Headless Horseman. Well, now, Headless Horseman, was that Asylum also?
No, that Headless Horseman was Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi acquired Boo, and did really well. And then they said, we want you to direct this thing called Headless Horseman. And so I came in and, I did some work on the script, and we went to Romania, and it was a fun experience. It was definitely bigger than Boo, and being in a foreign country, it was absolutely insane. It was like literally the place we stayed at was called the Olympic Hotel. It was where Olympians trained, but that no one was there. So it was like me and the line producer. It was like staying at the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. It was just it was deranged, but the crews were great there, and it was again, you just keep learning. I think the thing that people, for your listeners and everything, I think the important thing is that everything that you do, you're learning something. If you think you know everything, then you need to stop. It's like technology changes on the dime. It's like you got to learn and keep advancing and taking the good and the bad out of every situation so you can get better.
Exactly.
I didn't come out of film school and get the $20 million movie for Universal. I kind of worked my way up the Roger Corman way, and I'm still learning about this stuff. I'm still getting better.
Roger Corman is the king. I mean, he's an amazing guy and amazing business person also. So, in a way, Asylum, they're sort of the Roger Corman, school in a way also, in terms of how they're slowly adding bigger budget films and different genres and not just staying in the horror genre. But I have to tell you, because Ralph is right, I'm an old person. I've been in this business for many years, and Hansel and Gretel was one of the best shoots. And like you were saying, I've been on nightmare shoots and big budget things where nobody got along and people were assholes, and you really set the tone of the set, and Anthony has this great, really chill quality about him, or if you really don't, you pretend you do. It comes off really well. But everybody, you made us all feel like we were really important to the project, and that every character was important. And the biggest thing you kept saying was we want to make these characters real, and we don't want them to be cartoon characters. And I felt when I watched it, and I don't even like to watch myself at all, but forgetting me, but I thought everybody came off really real and riveting. It was not cartoonish or cliche at all. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you. Well, and that was the thing I think I told you early on. I like the ghosty supernatural stuff. So when it comes to like this torture and this really disturbing stuff, it's not something that I would sit down and specifically be writing. But when you get hired to direct, you're to bring your vision and your interpretation. And the thing that I had the hardest time with in the script was getting my head wrapped around your character, Frank, Frank and Bobby, the two characters in the movie that you and Frank, John and Bobby, the
Kennedys
played. the Kennedys. And so, I think it was, we cast you guys, and I started trying to really start thinking it through of there was a scene where supposedly when Gretel's on the chair and she realizes the witch is evil and she's worked for all these years, then John and Bobby come out of the crawl space and scare her, and it's like I couldn't get my head wrapped around that, and it was just like it's not scary to me. Didn't make sense.
What really worked for me, Anthony, and I know I'm cutting you off, but I do that because it's me.
Oh no! Don't worry about it.
In the beginning of the movie when you have the brothers, there's a doorway, and I think that it's where the captors are, where they bring them all the sweet foods to eat. And at the beginning, you never see their faces. You just see a foot or like a lock of hair go by, and that was great. That was really great, and I so support what you just said, because rather than making it just obvious, it was really like, okay, wait, what was that? And also, the girl, Stephanie, Gretel sees something when she's in Dee's house. She looks out the window, and she sees like some shadow or something, and I think it's either John or Bobby had just walked by. And that was really well done. Or like, like looking down when the first girl at the beginning she falls down that hole, that like rabbit hole or whatever, and they're overlooking her, but you can't see them, but it's like the shadow. That was great.
Well, that was part of the thing of getting my head wrapped around it when I go, okay, I want to keep them until we reveal them. And my favorite scene in the movie, Jasper, is the scene where Dee sits down on the couch and the two of you are sitting on the side. And that was the thing, is in the script, it was they jump out of the hole. And to me, having you guys sit there and not say a word, it's dark humor, it's played straight, and yet you're completely and utterly creeped out, and you're not made comical. It's threatening. You don't need to say anything. Show don't tell.
Well, let's give credit. I mean, Dee does an amazing job in this movie, and especially, I mean, even in that's an example in that one scene right there when she introduces her sons, because like you said, that could have gone many directions, but it's so creepy because when she says, Bobby and John, just like the Kennedys, you were great throughout. The tone was great throughout, where there was just, and especially even with Hansel's character, because he has so many one-liners, that he throws out that are tongue-in-cheek, but it never crosses over into caricature. So that's so hard to do, and you did it as the director. So hats off. I don't know how you did that, but you did it. So it comes off.
My sense of humor is very dry, and again, we talk about character stuff. It's like the character stuff needs to come from the situations, not from gags. And if you look at it from that perspective of if you're not saying, hey, here I'm making a joke, in these kind of movies, what works is if you buy into what the actors and the characters as people, then you're with them for the ride. Whether you like the characters or not, you're still with them, and you relate to them, and you find an entree. And the other thing, too, that I have if you look at all three of my movies, I like strong female lead characters.
Right, I see that, yeah.
The thing with these movies a lot of times is the women are made victims. Now, yes, I've had my women characters in Jeopardy, but I feel like, women characters, you put them in the movies and you feel like you don't want something that happen to them or hurt them, but you also want them to be smart. Mm-hmm. And usually the guys are the ones that are screaming. And there's even in Hansel Gretel, I broke one of my rules in having Gretel fall on the ground. It's the scene with you and the John and Bobby characters, but she had shackles on, so I could justify it.
And she still got a good elbow into me as well. She was still fighting. She was still a fighter. And we're not going to give anything away, but this movie has a great ending, a great twist at the end also, which is staying in line with, keeping the female character strong. And you don't see that.
I have one word about that, Jasper.
Yeah.
Sequel.
What?
Sequel.
Yeah, sequel, and John's not really dead.
Yeah, all I'm going to say, I don't want to give anything away, but what you created, Anthony, brilliant. Sequel.
Well, it should be.
Well, the idea that there's some intentional things. I don't think they don't necessarily always do sequels to Asylum, but the things they do, the fairy tale things. So there was some things in there, like the Trish character is technically Red Riding Hood, even though it's very subtle. So there was some like little things that were put in there. But yeah, that was a big discussion too. Jose did a great job on the script, and we talked a lot throughout the process. I kept him around, and I've written a lot of my stuff. But on something like this, he's just such a good writer. I like keeping people that can continue to help during the process, especially with how fast it was. We were always talking about the ending and how to make that work, and that was one thing at the very end. That's like I kind of felt that her journey had to come full circle. And that tag, even though it's kind of Twilight Zone-ish, it still is really the only way, because the whole idea in the movie is that Gretel wants to escape. And I think the ultimate irony and the ultimate horror of it all is that she's going to always be there. And that's what I think is kind of, if you're rooting for her. And
and also listeners, I know horror fans, they will watch movies over and over. If people, when they go back and see it again, you've done a great job there. There's little pieces throughout that will give you information leading toward that's there in her performance, and little things that happen with that character that you can sort of see where it ends up. But it's subtle, and it doesn't jump out at you, and you don't see it coming. But after the fact, it's because a lot of people they'll want to justify it, and they want to go back and go, well, that didn't make sense, and I don't see that here. But you can actually go back, and it's there in the performance. So again, those are all the little details that you did.
Oh, well, you remember? I was on. I know. Being a journalist and doing this stuff, I was trying to make sure that every. You have a certain gimme in these movies where it's like the supernatural element is there's a ghost, or in this case she's a witch and she eats meat. You get one of those gimmies, but you also have to make sure that everything tracks. Otherwise, it will get picked apart. And even if I have to feel like I have to have done my job at the end of the day, so when a fan comes up and goes, well, this doesn't make sense because this, and this, I can say, no, this, and this. And that actually happened a lot when friends and other people were watching the movie in rough cut form and stuff. They're going, well, I understand, why does Gretel do this at the end of the movie? And I go, well, if you look at it, she bites the witch, so she signs a contract, she does this, she does that. It's there, it's not in your face, so you're telegraphing and seeing it coming, but her transition is there throughout the whole movie.
Right.
It's subtle though. It's not like. I
love how you say, Anthony, she signs the contract. Well, yeah, under duress.
Well, she doesn't even know yeah. Well, that's.
I know, right? But
we don't want to give anything away. But
I'm so pumped up. Don't say anything because I haven't seen it. I'm going to be watching it this weekend, so I'm really.
You haven't seen it yet, the final product?
No, I've been busy writing. I've been writing all week. I'm going to see it this weekend.
Oh God, Anthony, you were going to have so much fun.
No, that's Marcus, Ralph.
You mean Marcus?
Oh, Marcus. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Pretty sure.
Marcus, I'm sure Anthony has seen it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Anthony's seen it.
I was like, yeah.
Actually, I haven't watched anything. It was really weird. I directed it, and I didn't pay any attention after that.
Well, it's like some actors claim to say, well, I never watch myself on TV. It's like, oh, yeah, right.
Well, tell us, Anthony, what's coming up. I know you've got always lots of stuff in the works, so let us know. Tell everyone what you have working on next, and so we can follow your career. And I'm available, by the way, for hire. So go ahead.
Yes, that's the thing. I'll tell you this. This if you know from talking to the people on the set. Brent and Steve and Trish have been in my movies. I like bringing people back, and I screwed myself on this movie because I have all these people I love working with, but it's impossible on shows. Like, it used to be, okay, I edit Steve in my movies, and I'd always try to find a way to get him in. And I was like, how do I get all these people I love working with? It sucks because you don't get that option. Sometimes these movies don't give it to you. But
exactly.
But I got this great repertory group of people, so now it's like, how do I do this? But anyway, I've got. It looks like I might be doing another film in a couple weeks. I think I forgot the title of it right now.
A romantic comedy.
Not yet. Eventually. But this one, it's kind of a CGI action, kind of a little bit more humor. It's not strict horror, but it's got horror elements to it. And I have two baby projects that I've been trying to get financing for. One of them is called Agony, which is this really cool thriller, and the other one's called The Key, which is sort of a sci-fi fantasy horror thing. And they're just very ambitious movies. I'm really getting into the character stuff and just wanting to tell these interesting stories. So when I get that opportunity, I want to do more with that. And I love actors, and I love working with them.
Well, you would also be great for television. I mean, I know you've written TV movies, but, I mean, there's so many great, the genre, and everyone wants the horror and the supernatural and stuff for television as well. And you've already, you've worked in that on TV, but I could see you having a TV series as well.
Yeah, it's just like, I love doing this stuff. I mean, a long time ago, it's like I realized, look, I'm in two industries that are falling apart, both the journalism and the movie side. There's no money to be made, but you know what? What am I going to do? This is what I chose. I love it. So it's like any opportunity, no matter how big or small, I like it. It's like once there's people that do it and they realize they don't like it and then they get out of it. But
well, they should get out, yeah.
The other thing I want to give props to, a buddy of mine, Robbie Riss, who I've known for years. He's he if you remember the Brady Bunch, he was Cousin Oliver on the Brady Bunch.
Right. Yeah.
He's this amazing musician and producer in Los Angeles, and he plays tons of instruments. He's in tons of bands. He produces albums, and on one of my projects, that's Surreal World, actually, he helped produce a quick song we needed to drop in the movie. And what's happened on all the shows is that we can't, on these low-budget movies, you can't afford to license songs. Sometimes you can if they're local bands, but if it's more obscure music like blues and other things, it's really hard to find someone that will let you do it. So on Boo, we ended up, Robbie and I got together and we wrote a couple songs just to kind of plug in because we could afford ourselves. The producer's fine. Here's a buck, and we'll drop the song in loop to get the style that I want. So we did that on Horseman, and then on Hansel and Gretel, we did a similar thing. Is that we had temped in some doo-wop and some kind of Sam Cooke stuff, and so we ended up there's about 5 or 6 of our songs in the film, and it also is part of the mood and atmosphere, and the kind of tie into it. And Robbie produced the hell out of these things. That entitled song, that doo-wop song,
great.
is ours, and Robbie just did an amazing job with it. So,
shout out for sure. And also, the cinematography is really great in this as well. The look of the movie. One of the reviews, there's been some really great reviews, and one of the reviews someone sent me today really talked about the look of the movie and how great it is.
Ben Demery is great. He's a really good DP, and I tend to drive my DPs crazy, and so when we bring in new people, it's like when I'm interviewing DPs, I go, look, I'm going to drive you nuts. You got to be aware of that. And the funny thing about Ben is that I didn't really drive him that nuts. He knew ahead of time, but we worked really well together because
Ben's terrific, and I think he was just in Romania. He was out of the country doing another film recently, in somewhere Russia or I'm not sure where, but he works all the time.
Yeah, and it was, and again, it's the collaboration thing. It's like, look, how can we pull these things off? How can we really give this a style? And again, on these shows, you don't have a lot of time to mess around with lighting, so he really has a great eye for that stuff. And this was we had Steadicam 10 out of the 12 days on the show, and that's a whole other kind of ball of wax in terms of filming. And once I kind of got into the rhythm of how that worked, we got some really ambitious stuff. That was circling around the car with the
I know, yeah.
With that was written as like a fourth of a page in the script, and we turned it into like this 2 or 3 page suspense sequence that took the same amount of time if it was just a fourth of a page. So.
Well, Jasper's action scenes, Jasper's tromping through the forest scenes, and like that scene circling that thing over his head is so great. I love that. And like the girl at the beginning, how she is just totally struggling, and her fingers are just like scraping down that like fire thing. That's so great. And you know, Anthony, Jasper and I are so funny because after I saw the film and I'm going through the credits, it's like, oh my God, I know Robert J.D. Spaulding, who was your second assistant cameraman.
He was great.
And Robert was my production assistant on a film, How Sweet It Is, that I just did, Paul Servino and I. And Joe Piscopo wanted me to be a part of that. And we just worked on that film. And Robert was so terrific on that. So it was a very nice full circle, as you know how it is in this industry, to be able to see the credits, see Robert's name, tweet him or text him a message going, just saw your name, my friend plays John, Jasper Cole. He writes back, I really like Jasper Cole. So it was a nice full circle.
Well, the whole crew was fantastic. And like you said, the Steadicam, all those running shots, if I'm running or anyone was being chased, I mean, that was all those guys really busting their ass, you know, to capture all that.
Well, you know, they're talking about also subtext. I mean, I think we talked about this as well. Is that, you know, again, trying to get my head around your guys' characters is that there's, if you look, there's scars on both sides of each of John and Bobby's faces, and
you didn't even need to send Jasper to make it.
Exactly.
I knew you set Ralph up for that one. Go ahead, Anthony.
But so the idea for me was that in Dee's eyes, the witch's eyes, her son. If you take both of you guys and put them together, they're one person. So they're each half a person. So each has the scar on the face, and there's that theme. If you look at the gingerbread house, there's half gingerbread. There's like this subtext.
Yeah, I love that when you told us that about the half face. That was fantastic. Hello? Oh, I think we lost Anthony. You guys still there? Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Yeah, somehow I think Anthony's cell phone dropped. Well, listen, Anthony, call back in, or I was just going to have to wrap up and go to commercial, but I think he's back. Hold on one second. Do we get you back on, Anthony?
Yeah, my phone died there.
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay. No, I felt bad.
Great, welcome back.
I thought I had cut you off.
Just give him some applause, please, Jasper. Thank you.
Oh, well, we're going to give him applause, but I was saying that was great. When you said that to us about, you know, each has half a face, two together make one, that really clicked for me. I thought that was really, really brilliant, and that helped a lot in terms of playing him.
Well, I had a question for you, too. It's like obviously you took a huge leap of faith when you get the script, and it's like, oh, well, there's this hulking guy in the woods, and it is what it is, but you took that. I give you a lot of props because it's very, you know, for an actor to say, look, I'm going to take a risk on a low-budget movie. I don't know who the director is. I don't know what their intent is, and yet I'm not going to speak, but I'm in the entire movie. How is it going to be? When was it that you felt comfortable that this was going to be more than what it was on the page?
I have to be honest, because literally I think I got cast like the night before. I mean, this all happened because I had gone in for another film with Lauren Holly or something there. I can't even remember how I met Asylum, but I didn't have a lot of time to think about it. But right away when we had our first conversation and you talked about not wanting to make the characters, you know, to make them very real, and the thing about two faces make one. I knew from talking to you that you were going to be watching, you know, for that because, you know, I didn't have a clue how it was coming off. So, I mean, what I try to do as an actor, all I can do is try to be real anyway, as real as I can be. But I trusted when we had our first conversation that I just got a real sense that you had a real grasp on how you wanted these characters to come off.
Well, also, Jasper, and I remember you telling me you were excited about it, too, because you were really going to be able to create a definitive character.
Right.
And, you know, that's a lot of times our decision-making as an actor, too. It's like we love to work, and in this particular instance, you were able to work and create a really great character. And I remember when we had this talk about it, so it's like,
well,
you know,
it was almost like I thought of them as sort of like Jason and Friday the 13th, but that's why I was even glad that we weren't wearing hoods or masks, or, you know what I mean? It was almost better that we could be a little more expressive.
Yeah, and the the whole idea too of all the stuff, you take a licking and stuff like that, and you're still kicking around. Part of it, again, it's like the thing is they've been eating meat pies for a very long time, and she's existed for a very long time. So there's justification for how come you withstand so much horrible things that happen to you.
Well, and I have to give you another prop, because a few people, and I think Ralph even said it, a few people I know who saw it, I think I'm almost dead, and then I come back a second time, and it was so great you didn't do something, because a lot of people were thinking as the sheriff and then were walking away, they thought John was going to come back one more time. And I love the fact that I didn't, because a lot of people thought I might. So that's another thing I love when I'm watching something. And
I know. And then, Anthony, when you see the bow and arrow fly by, you think, oh, fuck, John did come alive again.
But it's not John, and I won't reveal who it is.
Well,
yeah.
you get the one of the things that gets the biggest laugh, and and it was an intentional thing. It's the whole idea again of, I've seen enough of these horror movies, so you kind of get desensitized. You get injured, and then they go, is he dead? And then Brent goes, of course he's not dead. and then literally we just pile gunshot upon gunshot into you, and it's funny because again it's played very straight,
right,
and deadpan, and that was just a great moment. I mean,
well,
I
have to thank you for the bow and arrow. Everyone, I've laughed about the fact I've never held a bow and arrow in my life, so I cracked up when Anthony said, okay, in this scene, Jasper, you're going to be shooting this bear, you're going to be chopping wood, then you're going to shoot this bow and arrow, and I'm thinking, really? Because I've never even held one, and it was so embarrassing. It would just literally fall off the end of the bow, and I thought, dear God, can I just get one shot off? And I think that's the only take that you were able to get was one. So, bless you.
Well, yeah, and Asylum always demands gag reels for their
right.
films. And this is the thing that was really interesting. It's like they're telling me this. I'm going, well, good luck, because I had an awesome cast. I don't think there was a single flub. I'm serious. There's not anybody that flubbed their line in this movie. I don't know how that happened. There was only one instance.
Well, it happened because he had no dialogue. And go.
Stevie Hanks and Trish, I fed them some lines because we had a little bit of time at the end of the day, just at the end of the take, just to go off on this tangent. And no one, everybody thought it was part of the script, so that failed. So the only thing that actually was sort of a weird flaw was we used Jasper with the actual arrow, fumbling it.
I love it. I got the DVD, and I'm going to watch that stuff this weekend. I can't wait to see that, because that's classic. Mr. Tough Guy who can't even hold a bow and arrow. So.
Well, look at you holding those machine guns in MacGruber.
It's all the same thing. Can't do that either. But as long as it comes off real, that's all that matters.
And that your check's cleared.
Well, Anthony, listen, the time flies by. Listen, it's been a pleasure to have you on, and everyone. Now you have a website, right, Anthony, where people can follow you?
They can find me on Facebook and Twitter. That's the best place.
Anthony Ferrante.
It's Anthony C. Ferrante.
Anthony C. Ferrante.
Yeah.
And everyone, Hansel Gretel is out on DVD, and it's out at, Anthony, it's so many places to get it. Amazon, I guess we should tell people where it's on all the websites.
Walmart. Best Buy,
Walmart, where you can buy the AR-15.
Where you can buy a gun at the same time. That's good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
While you're doing it, go get a gun and watch Hansel and Gretel and get inspired, I guess, right? Is that what the rest of the world is saying? Yeah.
And stop at Marie Callender's and get a meat pie on your way home.
That's my plan for the weekend.
Well, listen, buddy, thanks again. It was so great to work with you, and Happy New Year, and wish you all the best on your upcoming stuff, and come back on the show anytime. And again, it was a pleasure, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to work together.
Yeah, all you guys, it was great. It's fun just chatting with people and getting in and talking about all this stuff. So, and Jasper, it was great working with you. And like I said, I sincerely mean this. That cast, that's the best freaking. I loved you guys. You guys
back at
you guys had my back. So
well, listen. Hopefully, we'll all see each other soon at something. So, okay, Anthony. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. That's Anthony C. Ferrante.
Thank you,
and
Anthony.
Take care, buddy. Wow, thanks. That was great, guys. Thank you, Anthony. I love talking to. See how much passion he has for what he does.
Totally.
You know, and you know, Marcus, us, you know, all of us about to do this indie film ourselves. I love the fact that what I was trying to get him to talk about, which he did, is just how he came into the business. And again, you know, it wasn't like I'm going to go be a director. It was I'm going to be a journalist, and I'm going to pick the genre that I really love and be a journalist there, and then be a makeup person, and kind of work your way in that way. So again, that's not something everybody would think of going in that path, you know.
Well, it's you know, specificity is always helpful because
that was a big word you just threw out there.
Well, you know, I'm a big man. Big man, big words.
Big black man. How many S's are in that? Wow.
Specificity. Yes. Look it up, kids. Specificity.
Ralph, say that 3 times.
Specificity, bitch.
Okay.
But it is. It's good. It's good to have because you have to, and I tell people this all the time. You know, you can't be at the top of the hill when you've just embarked on it. It just doesn't work that way. And you can't look at other people. A lot of actors will look at somebody like Danny DeVito, or they'll look at somebody like Kevin James, and they'll say, well, look at them. They're not like all...
They'll say, wow, they're really short and fat. Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
you know, and it's like, and so if they're big stars, I can be a big star. And it's like, you have no idea what the journey is. You have no idea why
I love the image I just got of you, Marcus. I love the idea I just got of you talking to your youngest son. Just standing in front of him on a Saturday morning just saying, you can't be at the top of a hill when you're just starting out.
Marcus.
I said you can't be
Marcus,
at
what's
the
happening?
top of a hill.
I don't know.
I'm actually watching this happen, so it's frightening.
That's weird. That's really weird. My, how the time has flown. Thank you all so much. It's been a wonderful show.
It's amazing when someone unravels right before your eyes, isn't it? My favorite line of the night is when Ralph asks Anthony if he has not seen the movie.
I know, right? I'm like, oh, fuck. I
was like, Ralph, that's Marcus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the one that's watching.
For all you listeners, when you do go back and listen to our show 100 times, as you do, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that's what keeps it real and spontaneous here on the Set with Jasper Cole. Well, listen, guys, we're going to take our last break before we come back and finish up with Golden Globe, Oscar talk, anything else we want to talk about, any show business, you know, Mushagaya, Mesagaya? I don't know. Bullshit is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, you are listening to On the Set with Jasper Cole, and we will be right back.
We'd like you to come back, Planet Eartha.
Oh, he's so high. Bye-bye.
You're back on the set with Hollywood's bad guy, Jasper Cole. Here's Jasper Cole.
Woo-hoo! All right, howdy, and welcome back to On the Set with Jasper Cole. This is Jasper Cole coming to you on this final stretch of our show, Friday night. You're listening to us on a Friday night on Blog Talk Radio, or it could be a Sunday night on our new Actors Radio station.
Or if you're in Russia on a Tuesday, you could be hearing us there as well.
Or if you're Sarah Palin and you're in Anchorage and you can see Russia, you might be listening to us via an Android phone or whatever. But at that wise little voice you heard was my co-host, my way, way, way too gay co-host, Mr. Ralph Cole Jr. And then we have, to balance it out, a very intellectual, very stable actor, writer, producer, TV star, Mr. Marcus Regman. Welcome back, ladies. Welcome back, guys. Sorry.
Hey, yo, man, what's up?
Hey, man, what's up? What's up, man?
Why we gotta mess with Sarah Palin?
She's a dumb bitch. That's why. She's a stupid, dumb bitch.
It's been over. She knows she's stupid. She went away.
But I would still fuck her because she's hot.
Well, see, that's another show.
I mean, I know you don't want to talk about it because you're married and ISIS is probably listening, but
listen. The whole thing about Sarah Palin is that she was hot. If Sarah Palin wasn't hot, she would never have caught half of the ridicule that she got.
She's hotter than her daughter Bristol.
Oh well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the reason why she got. Sarah Palin really had never said anything dumber than any other male Republican. And male
Than me
Republicans
asking you didn't see the film yet?
Well, listen, if you haven't seen did you see Game Change, the movie about
Sarah? Yeah, I saw Game Change.
Wasn't that brilliant, Marcus?
I thought it was really well done. I thought it was fantastic.
I mean, it gave me such. I actually. It's not that I just. I mean, it's not that I'm sympathetic to her, but I actually was sympathetic to how they just railroaded her. You know, it was such a lesson in how, be it right or left, it was such a lesson in how it is a game. I mean, the campaigns on both sides, it's like a football game.
Oh, dude, we think Hollywood is bad. Hollywood's a cakewalk compared to what they do in politics.
Yeah, that was a great. I mean, it's on HBO all the time or whatever. But listen, guys, you know the show's just counting down. I can't believe we've already done a 2-hour show, just us running our mouth. But I thought it was a great interview with director Anthony C. Ferrante from Hansel and Gretel.
Oh yeah.
Again, guys, the movie's out on DVD. It's on iTunes. It's on Amazon.com. It's at Walmart. It's in the back of my car. I mean, I'll be selling it on my website. I'll be at the farmer's market hawking it this weekend. So, or just hit me up or just call Ralph's cell phone number. He'll get you one also. And throughout the next few weeks, you know, some of the cast members will be calling in. It's going to be an eclectic rest of the few weeks. Now, Ralph, we're going to have a guest coming up that quickly tell us about who's a friend of yours as well.
Oh, my great friend C.J. Crid, who is a voice-over artist extraordinaire who recorded some romance novels. She is going to be a guest on our Valentine's show.
Yeah, you know, the voiceover is a whole area of the industry that we've never really even tackled much on this show. So it'd be great to talk to her on the Valentine's show, and then we're going to have an upcoming author who's a friend of Ron Butler Jr.'s, who's written a very sort of salacious cookbook that's got an interesting title. We're going to talk more about that next week. And Marcus, congrats on all the stuff you have going on with your screenplays, and there's stuff happening with Here and Now, of course, our film that we're getting closer to making. And a shout-out again to Dara and Kevin and the boys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Shout out to my family in Georgia, to Rose, to Isis and the kids.
Thank you, Jasper.
Yes, and to all our listeners, Solution, and
Katie Strotz.
Katie, to Mustang
Sally.
Oh, Katie,
yeah, by the way, Jasper and I want you to crochet us something in orange and black.
A crocheted Afghan blanket.
In orange and black.
Or maybe she should maybe do some booties and a hat or something.
No, just make a blanket or something or some placemat or something.
Well, bitch, I'm not sharing the blanket with you. I need my own blanket.
Oh, God, hell no.
No, that's not going to happen, right? Well, listen, guys, thank you again for knocking it out of the park, and you guys have a great, great weekend, and enjoy the Golden Globes this weekend, everybody. I hope your favorite people win. I hope someone, gets drunk and makes a scene on the stage. That would be great. Anyway, you've been listening to On the Set with Jasper Cole. Everyone have a great weekend, and we will see you guys right back here next Friday.
Bye-bye, Planet Earth.
Take care.
Good night, America.
Don't miss a minute of On the Set with Jasper Cole and get the inside scoop on everything going on behind the scenes in Hollywood.